All right, good morning, everyone. It is Friday, March 11th, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, or I guess that will be 1500 UTC. My name is Michelle, and you are listening to the MeanDAO Community AMA with the core team. We're here to give you some updates as we do every Friday, and we have some updates for you. And today, in particular, we're going to be covering, I'm looking forward to seeing some questions, I should say. Anything goes, but I know that there's a lot of questions and a lot of suggestions, and we've been working diligently in the DAO to restructure some things and reorganize the way that we do work. So I know that a lot of us here would want to know more as we deploy this new strategy and this new way of doing work. I see some amazing people in the audience: Drogan, Minse, Chikwi, Kachan, Anne. Lot of amazing OGs, some of the core team as well in the audience. Christian, Tanya, Yamel, welcome everybody. And with me on the stage, I have Tariq, Pavelsan, and Mylene. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
All right. So, how's everybody's Friday? Let's start with that, because we've had like what a busy week. Before we kind of like jump into the usual. How's everybody's Friday?
It's doing great. It feels good when you accomplish several stuff, and I think that we did it this week, and we'll hear more about it when we do the updates. So I'm pretty excited about what we've done this week and the timelines that we set ourselves to actually meet them. So that's pretty excited on that end, and it makes you feel accomplished, right? So that's how my Friday's going.
Yeah, 100%. Same thing I would say, Milan. You summed it up perfectly. It's been a great week, so it's nice to top it off with a good Friday as well, of course.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Tariq, the silent one. he's been with his fingers. Keyboard, I should say. I don't know the other part.
It's normal stuff. Just school and glue to Discord. Nothing much.
All right. Sweet. Alrighty. So why don't we get straight into the point here, and let's take a look. Discord always does the same thing with the interval. So let me start on Twitter here. What do we have going on Twitter in the last 7 days? Pretty flat compared to the previous one. Looks like similar kind of responses in the last 7 days. We are at 41,100 impressions. Engagement rate about flat, similar to the previous week, 4.1. We did have a lot more tweets going out this week, so I'm kind of surprised that we are keeping a little bit flat. Well, at least it's not going down. So that's a plus already. Let's see. We had an average of about 6,000 impressions per day on Twitter. Our most the busiest or the most engagements we had was on Mother's Day tweet. No, that's not true. That's not true. That was the second one. It was let me see here. Now this one here about happy to see our money streams in action supporting Great Protocol DAO token emission. So yeah, we have some great news on the Great Protocol collaboration that we have going on. They're a great partner, and we had this week we had also the feedback AMA on the Grape server, and that went really well as well. Pavelsan and I attended that AMA, and we had some really good conversations and feedback from the audience. Some of those things we had already been working on, but I think like overall, as we do more of those live with the audience, I think it's going to become a thing, right, Paulson? What do you think?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and it almost felt like the start of getting our feet wet, if you will. But I thought it was a good initiative that Dean and the guys at Grape started, and was super happy to take part in it, of course.
Yeah, agree. All right. Let me. For some reason, I cannot change the grape. Oh, there you go. The grape. The Discord. It was giving me. So today's March 11th. So we have to go back. Boom, boom. Back here. All right. So let's take a look at the Discord server here. Some of the metrics that we have going on. We have 53 new members, 2 new communicators, but member retention went down by 15%. Not great, on that aspect. But we do have a lot of new members, so hopefully we can activate them and get them a lot more engaged. Good thing here is that the total membership over time, so all of the server leaves and where are is starting to plateau right now. Still, we came down from 65,900 to what is it here, 65,500, so 400 people, give or take. We lost over the last couple weeks, and but the trend kind of continues. Like the people staying are more than a month old on the server, and they are active members. So that kind of again, the seniority aspect, I think, is the way that we have to look at this metric. It's not totally positive, but the people that are staying are the people that matter. So that's a good thing. How many people were retained this week? So this week retention, it went basically so we are March 11th, and I'm looking at from March 4th. So on March 4th, we have 14. So we were under the 20% retention benchmark. On March 6th, we got 189 members, and the 1 week retention was a little bit below 10%. And today, on this week, we are right above 21%. So it's like right on the retention benchmark edge. Right, that's not good. That's good. That is. Let's see what else we have here. I don't know. It looks like we had some Gleam referrals this week also happening. I'm not sure. Like, if we do some contest or something like that on Gleam. Tariq, this one is new. I hadn't seen
No,
this
no,
one
no,
before.
no.
But somehow Gleam is referring people to us in some way. So we probably are listed on Gleam.io, or yeah. I guess that's because that's more of a uh, listing place, right? I don't know. Let's take a look at the engagement. Those engage. Let's see here. So engagement. Engagement. We had a lot less visitors, actually. 19% less visitors compared to last week. Down 739 visitors. Communicators also came down by 2.7%. 143 less communicators. Total messages sent down by 30%. 920 compared to previous week. Total voice minutes 140. So ouch. Engagement not the greatest right now. Although I would have imagined that this week was, we had like 2 or 3 meetings at least during the week. Maybe these numbers are not yet updated because we only have it until March 8th. March 8th was what? For some reason, this is not reporting until the 11th this time because they have like some delays going on. But let's see. Many people muted the server. Yeah, that's whatever. Most active channels are, as expected, the announcements, the Mean, and the Turkey channel. Turkey is, the larger number of readers and the second largest number of chatters, 252 chatters over there. So kudos to you, Turkey community, for keeping it alive. What else do we have? Pruning. we have 25,000 people that have been inactive now for 30 days. We should look into pruning those people, so that now when we are doing basically all of the new metrics, we actually are making them a lot more impactful on who do we bring into the server, right? So that's something that we should look into, Tariq, when we're doing, before starting some of these additional projects and contests and stuff like that. Okay. Um, let's see here. Audience, Turkey reclaiming top spot here, 25%. Nigeria losing a couple of points, down to 17. Korea 12, India 8, US 5, India 4. India, where is Starajush? He was going to show up here with half of India, and we're still waiting for him to do something about that. Vietnam 2%, Russia 3%, Hong Kong 2%. Hong Kong like really went down a lot. Interesting. And I guess reclaimed some spot on Russia in there. All right. I think that those are the metrics for the server. Now on the app itself, we went from having 159,000 and some change, 716 to be like precise, unique accounts last week to 162,760. I have not done the numbers of what is the percentage growth on that, but it's a good like. But it's a 3,000 and some new accounts that are connecting to MeanFi. So that's a really good number from last week. At this rate, we'll get to the million very quick. So we'll see. On the actual token, I've not been following closely the number of holders, but I do remember that last week we were somewhere in the low 12,000, and this week we are on the high 12,000. So this week is 12,688 token holders, which yeah, it's good that we're having more diversification of the token holdings in there. So good to see all of these things. Some of them need a lot of improvement, and that is a big part of why we're doing this this kind of like reorg that's going on. Pavel, I yield to you, sir. You have probably some of the most exciting news that everybody wants to hear about.
Awesome.
So take it away.
Thanks, Michelle. So happy Friday again to everybody. I'll start with support because there's some pretty cool stuff. Well, both on support and product, but on support side, so a couple quick numbers. In the last 30 days, we had a total of only 32 issues, so a little bit more than perhaps one per day. What we saw over the course of that is most of them were in the sort of the first part of those 30-day period, and we've only had 8 issues over 10 days, which is effectively about a 25% decrease based on what we tracked. So what that tells us is a couple of things. We're having fewer issues, first off, which I think is fantastic. And also we're getting better at solving them quicker. Of the 8 that we had, 5 were resolved very, very quickly. And there were only 3 that were sort of left that needed a little bit more work. So I'd say all in all, a huge kind of improvement. And I think, there's a multiple reasons why that is, Michelle. And obviously the support team is getting better, but overall, as part of our mission, things are just working smoother, even with the issues that we see on Solana from time to time. So and we during that time as well, we rolled out what was the multi-sig with the payroll, and I have to say it was a pristine launch. Again, a big part of because of the help of everybody, really. To be honest, feedback, some awesome work done on reviewing, testing, the QA team, the dev team, support team. I guess that's sort of my message. I could say, which I think is fantastic, is the teamwork. This may sound a little cliche, but the adage of teamwork makes the dream work, if you will, or our vision work, for a very mean future, a real and fantastic step forward. So I'm super pumped about that, to be honest, just because that is sort of such a wonderful vision to see sort of everybody working together to make our products easier to use and support the members, users, when they have issues that need to get resolved. So
Very cool.
yeah. So
very, very cool. I think to expand on that, a lot of the same spirits that we have as part of the core team on the collaboration pieces and throughout the community. Like, even you have somewhat of a interesting spot to get the full perception, because you have like 1 foot in the core team and 1 foot in the community, and you have basically like 2 teams that you're working with all across this. So it's glad to see from the leadership that that the perception spans across all of the DAO.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And kind of continuing on with that on the product side, on Wednesday we launched an update which was posted in the app update channel, and essentially it covered a bunch of things. The one feature we launched was the multi-recipient, which I mentioned last AMA, and that was the ability to create many streams at one time. So this is a tool for people who are maybe in a DAO or a partner of ours that wants to save some time having to go through the process of manually creating the same set of streams over and over again. So we are working on even adding to that as we speak, fleshing that out. But this was a sort of a really big update we wanted to get out and be able to allow our partners and members to use. A couple of small things: withdrawal of funds from treasuries, which was a sort of one of those good to haves, the unallocated funds, I should say. That was that, and we added 2 new languages, which were worked on for the last, I would say, a good month, if not more. Vietnamese language, and so big shout out to Vichu for his help on that, and everybody else that was involved, and the Persian language. And I was Masood and Hamed. Hopefully I said you guys' names right. Thanks a lot for your help with that, guys. It seems like a small thing, but it really isn't. Making us more accessible through adding languages, capacity there really does sort of extend what I was saying about the teamwork. It's awesome. And upcoming is the Chinese language. So that is still being worked on, but that is going to be coming when it's ready and reviewed by the community. So that kind of covers the sort of on our product. We had a bunch of other sort of small stuff, and I would just say, I mean, I call it small, but it really isn't. But it was all centered around making us the app easier to use, and also some protections for our users, right? So if there's an action that's taking place that if there's a user error, it could be costly. We've been fleshing that out and ensuring we have some of those additional warnings, or make sure this is exactly what you want to do before you proceed, because as we all know, blockchain is fairly unforgiving when you make a mistake. And we want to do our best to try to help our users avoid those mistakes, right?
Do you mind maybe like sharing some of those examples? Because I think it's kind of hard for people to kind of realize what those are or what those mean if they don't get some context. So, for example, some of the things that we've been talking about, multisig and having warnings when you're trying to approve certain kinds of transactions that change ownership, or any of those other things that you can share with the community.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Yeah, so a perfect example of that is exactly on the ownership side. So there was this the capacity for someone to transfer a vault, and within within the multi-sig area. And, if you put the wrong address in, it just, poof, it's gone, right? And there's no sort of undo button. And so we added some protections around that, specifically added message and some attempts to you can't stop every possible problem, but attempts to detect potential errors before anything gets executed. And even just coming down to being able to when the multisig's getting edited, for instance, not as sensitive as the transfer ownership item, but instructing the user that they need to, for instance, complete pending transactions. One of the nuances with multisig is when you change owners, it actually will prevent you from completing pending transactions, ones that were never completed, by nature of the how the multisig actually works with in the implementation. So it was just kind of a little bit more guidance around that to ensure the user knows what they're doing before they execute a transaction again. So hopefully that does that help, Michelle?
Yeah, no. It's more, I think, for the community, trying to kind of explain to them that a lot to everyone why we're doing that effort, right? So all of those things that Pavel-san has been talking about, even though they are not necessarily like core security improvements, meaning like in the protocol itself, they are security improvements for each of us as users,
Yeah.
and they prevent us as users from making mistakes that are or can be very regrettable. And
Yeah.
you cannot undo. There's no undo button on on distributed transactions and on just any kind of blockchain workflow. So it's better to be safe than sorry, and to make sure that everybody gets fair warning that, hey, you are about to do something that might be dangerous or that might have really significant side effects. Are you sure that this is what you're trying to do? And sometimes if you are sure, you should say, yep, I am sure. Let's do it. This is exactly what I want to do. But the warning is there to help. It's kind of like a little extra precautionary safety trigger that we force everybody to say, yep, I'm clear. I got it.
Yeah, the one the community will notice the most is that checkbox when they're doing a transfer, where it says, "Are you sure this isn't going to an exchange?" So that's probably the easiest connection point that almost
Yep.
everyone that uses our app will have seen. So it's kind of a little bit, it's sort of like that, but in different areas of the app. Again, focused around trying to help our users be safe, right? Which I think is an important part of what we can do, even though we don't control the keys, as everyone knows. That's the beauty of what we're offering, but we can certainly help where possible provide those a little bit of safety margin to prevent an accident or a mistake from happening where it can be prevented.
Yep.
So
Right on.
So a couple other things we've added the additional seeing more historical transactions on a money stream, which was one of those feedback items we were working on that was brought up in the Grape feedback AMA that we did. So that was actually implemented, so people can see beyond 10 historical records for a specific money stream. So that was a kind of a cool little add-on that we've been working on for a bit. The Solana congestion sort of red bar, we tweaked that and improved that a little bit on how that shows. There were a couple of issues yesterday, so anyone using our app probably saw that pop up a little bit more. How do I say a little bit more frequently based on those tweaks. So that's a nice good to have. And again, for anyone that's not familiar with that, essentially what that is that when it's detected that there are some issues on the Solana network, there's a little bar that pops up in the top, and you've probably seen it on a few other sites as well. It just kind of warning the user that there may be some issues with completion of transactions. So certainly from my perspective, when you see something like that, you could try the transaction more than once, and eventually when it confirms, you're good. Alternatively, if it's something that it's not of critical timing, then it could be one of those where you go and get a coffee and come back. There's a few growing pains, I guess, if you want to call it that. I know the Solana group is doing a great job working on sort of solving some of these issues for the long run, but it's again, it's a bit of a growing pain that anyone working on the Solana network has from time to time.
Yep, 100%.
And I guess finally, sorry for taking so much time here. I had quite a bit on my list, but we have added a bit of a toolkit to help us gather some additional information, primarily to begin with, to focus around ways that we can improve app performance. So I've seen a number of people in the community, and also we're tracking that. Part of it's related to the Solana congestion, but ways that we can make our app a bit more streamlined. Example, being able to piggyback together transactions would probably be the sort of the one that's sort of most apparent that we're sort of scoping out now, and a few other improvements. And so we added, and we're continuing to add some additional capabilities that can be used for support, and also for our ability to be able to track performance and where we can improve. So it's one of those things that every project kind of works on as part of getting better, and that's something that we added on Wednesday as well as part of that release.
Sweet. Thank you, sir. Mylene, anything to add to that list?
No, well, just really quick, for the community to know that we're working on to have a public roadmap, so we can incorporate the criteria in their voting on the next upcoming features and those sort of things. So we're working on it. We want to make sure that everybody's engaged and involved as much as possible. So that's kind of like cooking right now. And
I think that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, by the way.
Okay.
And I think that all of the community will really enjoy this. For anybody not too familiar with what Mylene said, it's essentially a web page where you will be able to upvote which features and which things do you want to be implemented first as part of those things that are in the roadmap. Up until now, we have been collecting information and feedback from the community in multiple ways, through the help center, through Discord directly, through just one-on-one chats, through direct, reports and or emails that you guys send us, and and chat communications, and now we're trying to make the whole process a lot more transparent, a lot more open, and to include a voting element to it, that you can go and kind of like cast your own vote for. I really want this feature. Like I want to put my vote on that, and the product team will kind of like be taking a look at that, and you can see exactly how things are going to be prioritized. So we don't only have to like come here and give you this update that we do every Friday, but you'll be able to, at any time in the week, even if you cannot make it on Friday, go to that portal and see what has been planned, what people are voting off, what you want, and what's coming up next. So yeah, very excited about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next thing is with the audits. So we're getting almost towards the end of having this full report from Soteria with regards to the HLA and BCA contracts. And what I mean in the full report is like the final seal that everything is good, and we are up to a great standard of security. I think that we ultimated just a few fixes, minor fixes, honestly, that came back from their initial audit. So we're working on that. I think that's going to be probably pushed to production today. Some of them went to production yesterday, and today will be the final of those. And then I think there will be just a few more upcoming like automation tools that they use to kind of like review the protocols and stuff. And after that, I think that we should get our final seal of high standards on security. So we're looking forward to have that for the HLA contracts and the ADCA contracts. So.
And for anybody, by the way, like we already published the draft that they did for us. with the previous findings, and we published them. We made it public because none of those findings are critical. Like Mylene was saying,
Yeah.
like the findings are all like commentary, more so than anything
Yes.
else. Kind of like code cleanup and informational things. But so like from the safety and security standpoint, we're like pretty effing solid in there.
Yeah.
So we have published that report, is available today, or it's been there since like a week or so, in the docs site. If you go to the safety and security area, you go down to audits, and you'll see the links to that in there. We will be updating that as soon as we receive the final report, not the draft, because we have to like make those arrangements and resend it back to them. But yeah, very excited to work with Soteria on this project too.
Yeah. And I
All right,
think that's it. That's all I have.
cool, awesome, Mylene. Mr. Tariq,
Thank you, guys.
what you got for us?
Okay, on good day everyone. On the community side, this week we had Dean the Machine coming over to our Discord. So on great community feedback. So the feedback is on great dashboard, REMS, MeanFi features and structure protocol. So if you have any feedback feature that you wish any bug, any feature that you feel like it's not working well and you have improvements, you could go head to great Discord server and provide feedback features. And there's a contest going on it, so you could be eligible to win 5,000 grape. So also this week we created a channel called the translation feedback channel. Okay, this is where community members can post comments and improvements related to language translation in the MeanFi app. So if you think that any of the language channels, language translations in the MeanFi app isn't correct, you can come to our server and point it out. So also this week we had several visitors like Dimsel. He came and he taught us on DAOs, on how DAOs work in Solana and everything about DAOs. So if you missed that program, you missed a lot. So and another one is the Steppen AMA. So we had Dawn coming to our Discord. He was part of the MeanFi Discord server before. Okay, but he came on stage and explained to us about Steppen, and we had several conversations on how MeanFi could benefit Steppen, and yeah, we're still working on that. And then they also give out $300 worth of GST token to our community. We have already selected based on the question that was answered and published in the event calendar. So if your name is on the event calendar, just do well to send me your email, your Steppen app email address, to be credited. So also this week, we'll be starting our staking beta testing. Will be starting very soon, and some of the community members have been choosing to participate in the event that will be coming up in few days / week time. So yeah, in the coming days you'll be seeing the channel, and we have already selected most people have shown interest on testing this feature with us. Okay, and also expect most of the events / AMAs to kick off next week. So this is just a wrap up on the community aspect.
Damn, that you guys have been busy, and we've been busy also on. So besides all of these events that we have going on, we've been busy also on like restructuring a lot of the community around the new guilds and skill forces and all of this kind of new grants committee that we're putting together. So yeah, thank you, Tariq, and thank you to all the ambassadors that kind of make this happen, and all of the community leaders that really make this all of this work happen. Like we bow to you, and we we can only be very grateful for counting with your support in here. Now, I do want to talk a little bit before kind of jumping into the live questions, and probably some live questions will come out of there, about some new reorg that it's happening on the DAO. We made from last week, we had been kind of working on this with the ambassadors and with everybody, kind of like gathering feedback. And there is already a published version of the of something that we call the CM Community Management Manifesto. And what that is basically kind of setting the boundaries, or setting the rules around how do we manage work, projects, skill force, how do we make distributions, like who benefits from what, when, how, those kinds of things. And the primary message in there is that both us in the core team, and now everybody in the broader community, it like everybody has a lot of phenomenal ideas all the time. And one of the biggest challenges that we have had is how do we communicate, right? We need to do a better job at communicating what is the strategy that we have, both on the product and on the business, and what we're trying to accomplish from a growth perspective. How do we communicate that in a way that everybody gets it, and that everybody is further aligned into making sure that whatever amount of work I'm putting forth and I'm contributing into the community, not only is it meaningful because I think I like to do that kind of work, but it's also meaningful because it is aligned with the strategy that we are following in order to achieve our goals, right? And and communicating that to a large audience like the one that we have here, and further organizing work, and making progress and organizing projects around that, is extremely difficult, because we come from very different backgrounds. We have a very different perspective of what success looks like. Um, and for that reason is that we are setting up this new structure. I highly encourage that anybody that is interested in really making sure that they are squeezing the DAO orange to the maximum, that you go there and you read that community manifesto. There are multiple areas down there, starting with the Ambassadors Club and how the Ambassadors Club work, and like what does it mean to be an ambassador? What does it mean to have to belong or be part of a KPI guild? We have 3 guilds right now that we have defined. What does it mean to be part of Skillforce, and how do you get paid for exposing yourself and your skill set to DAO projects and DAO work? How money gets approved, and who approves that money, and we have a dedicated grant committee that it's kind of in flux, but it's taking shape very rapidly. Like how and who manages the community treasury, like all of those things are like, granted, we have still a lot of maturity to put on that, and as we go through on a day by day, week by week basis, we'll probably have some additional tweaks that we will learn from all of our mistakes as we go through, and we put this into the field. But the primary change, or the primary takeaway from this adjustment, is the modification of rewarding any effort to rewarding efforts that actually yield results, right? um, and I think that with this new approach, everybody has a lot more accountability and a lot more focus on exactly what kind of work am I going to be focusing on, and what do I want to do, and how do I do it in such a way that I get handsomely rewarded for the results that it is yielding, right? So we just have had the presidents, I think, elected for the 3 guilds that we have. We have 3 KPI guilds, one that is called the Magnet, another one called the Growth Guild, and another one called the Play Guild. And right now, on the Magnet Guild, and the primary KPI of the Magnet Guild is basically to create projects and to create initiatives that can attract people that are not already part of our DAO and part of our user base, to attract new members into our community. the president of that, and Tariq, again, like I asked you for confirmation before doing it, but the president of that is Chris Code, and the vice president is Masood. And then amongst the two of you, like, now we're going to be doing a lot of projects along with all the other members that are going to be part of that guild and that want to put their efforts into helping define metrics around acquisitions. The other guild, our primary guild, is the Growth Guild, and that is about making activations. And activations essentially turning those new members that we have attracted into actual customers, active members of the community, active participants in the DAO, contributors to the work that we're doing. Like all of that kind of amounts to activation. The president for that is Alpha Trader, and the vice president is Arabian Horses. Congratulations to you both. And then we have the last piece is the Play Guild. And the Play Guild is everything about engagement. And it's everything about engagement, not only in Discord, but also in our application. This one in particular has a very big collaborative effect in between the DAO and the product team. So Pavelsan is going to be kind of like assisting and trying to understand exactly like what projects are required to be implemented or to be put into place as part of the product itself, and all the different products that we have, because retention is a big way for us to maintain repeating customers and making sure that people are getting the right amount of value through the application, right? The president of that is Anne, the vice president is Jody. Congratulations to both as well. Congratulations to all 6 of you that are leading the KPI guilds. And kind of like the simplest way to define this structure is that essentially we have a treasury that receives a mission. That treasury has 5 treasurers that are on right now it's actually 3, but we need to change that to 5 treasurers. That change is coming soon. It's a couple of clicks thanks to the multisig that we have. But essentially that treasury has 5 treasurers. Those 5 treasurers are going to do whatever the grants committee approves or disapproves. And the grants committee is a group of 5 people. The chair of that grants committee is Tariq. He's going to be helping essentially guide the process of receiving projects that are submitted to the grant committee from the different guilds. So the Magnet Guild, the Growth Guild, and the Play Guild. Each of the president and vice presidents, along with the members of those guilds, are going to put together 2 or 3 projects that they want to go and they want to pursue with the objective of improving a particular KPI by 10% week over week. All right. And with those targets, the grants committee, which is again Tariq plus 4 other people that are yet to be well defined there, are going to say, yeah, we're going to approve whatever amount of budget do you need for this, and off you go. If you hit it, the budget gets released immediately, and the president and vice president gets to distribute that budget amongst all of the participants, right? That way, everybody's really trying to push for like breaking that particular number, that particular OKR. That means that it's very likely that part of the resources of all of those projects that are created by the Magnet Guild, the Growth Guild, and Play Guild are going to require some kind of skill set. For example, it might be event organizers, or translators, or writers, or marketers, or designers, or AV artists, or researchers, or legal support, or whatever the case may be. And all of those are the different skill forces that we have. So you kind of have to think about about this whole thing as everybody helping each other. It is a team effort after all, and nobody can do this whole thing alone. So it is a big undertaking, but it is an organized way to leverage everybody's skill set and make sure that we are also distributing mean token emissions in a responsible way that actually helps the DAO grow in its mission. All right. So just wanted to put that out there. Pavelsan, Mylene, Tariq, if you guys want to add anything else, this is the time. If not, let's move on to questions.
I thought it was great, Michelle. You covered it really, really well, and excited to see what comes from it, and happy to support it, of course.
Yep. Right on. All right. Why don't we jump into some questions here? I see a lot of like reactions to some of them, so that probably means that they are really well asked questions. I'm going to start with M. Resak or M. Resak. It says, we face an unwanted war and the assets of big businessmen of big bank were confiscated. You might have heard. I guess you're referring to the Russian sanctions. Do you have an action plan to turn the crisis period into an opportunity and turn the money flow in this direction? That is an excellent point, Emrasak. And I don't have a specific plan myself, but guess who is going to come up with a plan for that? We have something called the Magnet Guild, and Chris Code and Masood have that's precisely their KPI. How do I take advantage? How do I acquire the customers that are more primed to be acquired? And as you well explain here, and this is an opportunity because of the war that is happening right now, and these are um, people that get displaced and people that get their assets confiscated or frozen, or just the financial infrastructure is completely damaged. It's not only happening in Russia; it's happening in Ukraine as well. Even like the government of Russia right now being the aggressor. The currency is collapsing, much like the Turkish lira collapsed a little bit of time ago. Different reasons for their collapse, but the end result is that governments react very quickly when their national currency is in attack, and one of the first things that they do is basically freeze all bank accounts. So maybe we should consider adding Ukrainian and Russian languages to the app as well after we wrap up the Chinese. So that could be, for example, a nifty little project. I just gave you an idea there, Chris, or actually I didn't. Emrisak gave you an idea there, Chris Code and Masood, for one of the projects that will probably make a little bit of sense to put there for your acquisitions KPI in the magnet. So very good question, Emrisak. Yep. All right. Talib asks, even if there is a problem with the team, or if someone leaves the project, how does the structure that can sustain itself work? Even if this is Michelle, what kind of roadmap do you have for this? Yeah, so I think I'm gonna try to hopefully I'm gonna do a little translation of that. I think that you mean like what happens if someone from the team leaves, even myself, or like and it might not be just someone leaving. It might be someone simply having a situation where they're not available. It might be an accident. It might be that you got I don't know, you got hit by a truck, or you simply have a family emergency, or you need to step away for something, or simply you're on vacation, right? So like it's not a matter of leaving; it's a matter of being available to run the business or not. And Talib, that is a very good question. That is something that we consider part of business continuity problems. Okay, so what are we doing, and what things do we have in place to ensure business continuity? And a big part of that is basically all of these structures that we're putting in place, where, for example, the treasury doesn't have one treasurer. It doesn't depend on me to approve anything, or on Pavelsan to approve anything particular, right? It depends on 5 people. And if any 3 of those agree that this is something that needs to happen, then it will happen, irrespective of like the availability of the other 2, right? So multisig is a big part of that. The other part of that is all of these organizational structures that we're setting up by having separation of concerns between who actually distributes the money, and who approves the projects that are going to be paid for, we are guaranteeing a lot of redundancy here, right? So like now, Tariq from the grants committee plus the other 4 members of the grant committee are not necessarily the people in charge of the money itself, but are the people in charge of approving the projects that are going to be paid from the treasury, right? So like a lot of separation of concerns, a lot of heads that are putting together. Um, the only catastrophic effect is if we are all traveling on a conference on the same airplane, and that airplane has a problem. Everybody goes down at the same time, but it's very unlikely that it will happen because we're not in the same spot. We're a very distributed team anyways. All right. And a big part of the ambassadors, for example, is that everybody needs to be distributed across different time zones as well. So there's a good amount of distribution that we have, and a good amount of redundancy that we have, both on the ambassadors, on the on the leadership for the guilds and the skill force, on the grants committee, on the treasury. So like everything is little by little. Okay, like this doesn't happen overnight, but you can see the efforts of us trying to secure the DAO and secure the DAO resources and everything that we're doing for it more and more in more and more distributed ways. So that will guarantee a lot of redundancy so that if anybody has to be absent for whatever reason, that doesn't mean that the business stops. Okay. Iljas asks, Russia-Ukraine war showed that our assets are never safe. MeanFi has revealed how important secret technologies it offers. Do you think it will resort to measures such as bans from government to MeanFi and similar projects? Are there any preparations against this? We have talked about this actually quite extensively. We are not quite yet there in like fully censorship resistance. We'll have to be deploying all of our asset and our infrastructure into Airweave, so that even if the infrastructure support for delivering our I guess, centralized assets, right? Like we have some logos that are hosted in a centralized server. The colors, the assets that you see on the website, all of those things get delivered from a centralized server, right? Even today, multiple centralized servers. So technically speaking, those servers could be shut down, but it would be relatively easy to stand up MeanFi on Airweave and basically have that takeover. Now we haven't done that because we don't see any particular risk that is not quickly mitigatable on that, and it does require some amount of effort and overhead to do that on a regular basis. And for the most part, fully distributed censorship-resistant networks, are a lot slower than their central counterparts. And one of the big reasons why everybody comes here to Solana is speed. And you can see that, for example, Uniswap makes a tandem deployment to a centralized server of their application and to a decentralized file system, so the IPFS. And the usage statistics on one versus the other are just ridiculous. Like people using uniswap.org is like 99.97% of the population that uses Uniswap uses it through their centralized DNS, right? So like uniswap.org, and only like 0.0 whatever percent uses the fully censorship resistant one. Now, the good thing is that they already have that, for example, on every single deployment that they do. Therefore, they don't have to do any kind of operations if they were to be shut down by a government. And we still don't have that, but we will get there. So it's I would say, work in progress. From the priority standpoint, I think that we have a little bit of legs to grow before that becomes a real problem for any of us, right? Pavel-san, have you seen anyone in here that you would want to answer more directly? I was going alphabetically here, or basically from top to bottom, but
Sure. The next one is just asking a little bit about staking. Danny ND newborn Tariq. He was asking about how that's going to work, and essentially a quick answer is it's a two-pronged release on that front. The staking, the initial one will be sort of a 7-day lock, and then we're going to add additional locking periods as a follow-up release that will have multiple multiplier, perhaps, where you would earn more rewards based on how long you lock it for. So sort of a bit of a two-pronged answer on that front, but the initial version will be limited to the 7-day locking for all staking that starts off. And I guess another thing I could add is we are in the midst of launching a beta program on that front where people can take advantage of when it launches, call it privately for the beta group, can take advantage of that early on. So anybody interested in that, if you are sort of one of those people where you want to like to test things out and like to offer advice on the product improvements, reach out to the Ambassadors support team and inquire about that because there is the opportunity to join that group if you want to.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Fet T. Actually, I like this setting. Why don't you pick one and I pick another one? I'm gonna go with Fet T here, and then you pick your next one. Then we'll switch around. Fetty asks, can an office be opened in Metaverse so that our project is more visible? More people need to talk about Mean. What do you think of this suggestion? Fetty, that is a great idea that I think you should talk to lots of ideas for Chris Code and Masood from the Magnet Guild. So that is you know, I see that as a magnet growth opportunity, and you know, maybe if you put together a nice project and Chris Code and Masood kind of like, you know, work with you or anybody else that that might be interested in this, submit the project to the grants committee, and you know, let's try to get it approved and see how many things do we actually want to be focusing on. All right, good idea.
Cool. Next one is Sabo. Hopefully I said that right. Said, are you considering a MeanFi app on Android and iOS, and would it include an NFT marketplace? So we're definitely, we have been looking into the MeanFi app. I think, Michelle, you've mentioned probably in two times in a row. That is still ongoing. There's quite a few issues surrounding that from a legal standpoint. And coming back to the whole point about being decentralized, that we need to make sure it's done right, such as it can't just be a switch is flicked and it's essentially disappears from the internet. So it is definitely being worked on, TBD, to be determined. Will there be an NFT marketplace in there? I'm not sure. We don't want to copy and reproduce what a lot of other people are doing. But with that said, it's a very intriguing question about that. I know our partners over at Grape have launched recently an NFT marketplace that allows people to use or to sell their NFTs without them leaving the wallet. So maybe there might be some way of hooking into that. I'm not sure. We'd have to figure that out once the app is fully kind of scoped out, or how that's going to work legally.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Avicioglu, yep, or Avcioglu, asks, wouldn't it be more interesting to make announcements on Twitter for all the activities we do in Discord in order to increase the number of people coming to the Discord channel from Twitter? That is a great suggestion, also, Avicioglu. The problem is that so there's a balance to be striked with like public announcements. We do have a dedicated the community has a dedicated events Twitter channel where a lot of the times we retweet from that other channel, but there are a lot of things that might because of the different groups that are organizing different events, and because of the some of the timelines and partnerships that are going that require a lot of conversations and that require a lot of massaging before we make them public, we risk, and this has happened before, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to kind of like have a separate account. We risk uh, uh, we risk the element of surprise and impact on the market to basically be like constantly overcrowding the message in Twitter with a lot of announcements and a lot of initiatives and a lot of things that might not have a common thread line, right? So it looks like we're doing too many things too many times, and and instead we've decided that we'll take the primary Twitter account, which by the way it does need um, a lot more activity than what it's having right now. It's just that activity needs to be a lot more strategic in nature than operational in nature, right? So like all of the operational like Twitter feed that we do usually goes through the MeanFi community Twitter account, and that is managed by the ambassadors. And then the official Mean Finance account is managed by the core team. So that way we can at least focus on some of the strategies there. A good news is that we're going to have we just hired um, a new marketing person that his name is Mo, and he's going to be joining us starting on the core team starting on Monday. And he has a lot of really good experience. We're looking forward to see what he can bring to the team and to the DAO, and we'll see where things go from there. Hopefully, that will be the revival of the and a lot more strategic plan around the Twitter account. So yeah, good question, and you're right. We need to improve a lot on that. Thank you, Cioglu.
So I'll do one more here, Michelle, as I recognize we're sort of getting on in time.
Yep.
Mean Sage came out with one asking about staking and how saving towards a goal via the staking feature could be a way that someone might be able to manage a slight spending issue. And he said himself, me with an emoji. I think that the idea behind that one is giving the user the ability to perhaps have a way to calculate or some way of tracking a goal that they're trying to accomplish personally, and use mean staking as one way to do it. And I think it's a great idea. I actually hadn't thought about that before, and I think this could be one of those that could be possibly for one of the guilds to put a KPI around how to increase staking, possibly just throwing that out there as a possibility.
Be part of the growth guild.
Yeah, growth guild.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Also traded in Arabian horses. Take note.
Indeed. So anyhow, that's thanks for that one, Mean Sage. Appreciate it.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Was anything that you dropped, or I went dark?
I can hear you. Okay.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I must have.
So Paulson was the one that went dark. All right. Yeah. Great idea. And I think that a lot of these things, every guild has an individual KPI, right? And for example, but you can track multiple KPI metrics behind that. So the number of metrics that you decide to track is really up to the guild leadership. Our suggestion, somewhat on the strong suggestion side, is that don't track too many, so that you can actually learn how to do one and then two, and then like if you feel that you have like a lot more room for a lot more KPIs, then KPI metrics, then like add more, right? But the more you add, that means that the more projects you need to track and the more coordination needs to happen. So I'll try to keep that to like 2-3 KPI metrics with their respective objectives and key results at any given moment in time, so that you only have, if we have 3 guilds, each of them with 2 or 3 projects, we're talking about like 9 to 10 projects that are happening at the same time across across the DAO, and that is a lot of projects. Like there's a lot of work that needs to be super focused, that needs to be producing results, that need to be like creating assets and creating and engaging the community and coordinating events and coordinating things. Like that's already a lot, right? So let's try to pick those KPI metrics and OKRs with a scalpel and not with a machete. All right, so just pick them well, so that we know what exactly we're hitting. Terry, you and I should probably also get together along with Chris Scott, Masood, Alpha Trader, Anne, and Jody, and have a little powwow, the eight of us, and try to, at least on the first iteration, work together in coordinating what those KPI metrics and OKRs are, and ideating a couple of those things so that they can go, so that each of us can go out into their respective guild and start building some of those projects along with the rest of the community there. Right, just one idea to throw out there. Happy to help and participate in all of them. My absolute highest desire right now is that we can distribute as much as we can from the emissions in meaningful ways. Like if we can grow like a rocket ship and distribute 100% of it, like 100% of it gets distributed. But we need to put some order around it, right? That's basically what this is all about. Right? Phenomenal work. I think I'm going to call this a wrap. We are wrapping up with 83 people in the audience, 4 speakers. Again, Friday, March 11th. We're a little bit past the hour here, 11:05. Thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody that stuck around. I think that this was a very productive AMA session, and I am looking forward to the one coming up next Friday. For all of you, there's only something better than Friday, and that is the 2 days that come after. It is the weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday. So, like I always say, smell the flowers, kiss your loved ones, and let's fucking go! Right on. Alrighty, guys. Peace out.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.